Have you ever wondered what the key to a truly joyful and meaningful life is? What if it has nothing to do with your job or how much money you make, but everything to do with something the ancient Stoics called proper human work? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today, this incredibly powerful idea and how we can actually use it in our own lives.
And our guide for this is going to be none other than the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Now, this quote you're seeing, it's so much more than just a nice-sounding phrase. It's literally a blueprint for building a life of meaning. So let's unpack it.
All right, so let's get this straight. When we talk about proper human work, we are not talking about your 9 to 5. Not at all. Think of it more like the ongoing project of becoming a better human being. It's a practical framework, something you can actually use, built on 4 key practices you can do every single day.
So here's the game plan. We're going to walk through 4 essential pillars: the work of kindness, the work of mastering our own minds, the work of building connections, and the seriously underrated power of just showing up consistently. And stick with me because this all leads to a final, crucial choice that every single one of us has to make.
Okay, first up, acts of kindness. This pillar completely flips the script on what most of us think leadership is. It's not about having a title or being the boss. It's about taking real responsibility for the people around you, and in doing that, building character, both theirs and your own.
And this quote from Coach Ortiz just nails it, doesn't it? Being in charge is just a position on an org chart, but being responsible for people, that's a relationship. It's the huge difference between managing a spreadsheet and actually mentoring a human being.
So how does this look in the real world? It's all about these small, consistent actions. It's about that moment when something goes wrong and you choose to get curious instead of furious. It's about learning to listen just to understand, not to jump in with your reply. These aren't huge, heroic gestures. They're the daily deposits you make in the bank of trust and character.
And this is so true. Think about it. There's this wild imbalance in how we remember things. You might forget the 100 times someone was polite, but you will absolutely remember the one time they were rude. That makes every little act of courtesy a really big deal. It's like the compound interest of building good, solid relationships.
All right, on to our second pillar. This is the internal work. This is about forging yourself into an emotional rock, becoming that source of stability and calm, not just for you, but for everyone who depends on you. Now, the Stoics had this intense-sounding phrase for it, but let's be clear, this is not about becoming an unfeeling robot. It's about creating a little bit of space between a feeling and your reaction. Look, anger, fear, frustration, those things are going to pop up. The real work is in choosing how you respond instead of just letting that emotion completely hijack you.
And here's the modern playbook for that ancient idea. Being the rock means when everything is chaotic and stressful, you don't add to it. No sarcasm, no blaming, no complaining. You become the stable center that absorbs the pressure and says, okay, this is happening. Now, how do we move forward?
And hey, if you want to see what happens when you do the exact opposite of this work, just look at this quote from Frederick the Great. He's basically saying his whole system depends on people not thinking for themselves, on them not mastering their own minds. It's a system built on blind obedience, and history has shown us time and again where that road leads.
And this whole idea of mastering your impulses, it gets even bigger. It's not just about your personal bad day. On a societal level, Tolstoy argued that the only way to break the cycle of violence is for individuals to master that primal impulse for revenge, to just refuse to participate. Now that is proper human work at its absolute most challenging.
Let's move on to our third pillar, which is all about building bridges. Marcus Aurelius called this identifying trustworthy impressions. For us today, that really means learning to see clearly who and what helps you grow and who and what is holding you back. It's the work of intentionally designing your own environment.
So you have to become a kind of curator of your own life. Take a hard look around. Are the people in your life nourishing you? Do they inspire you? Or are they toxic? Always criticizing, blaming, complaining? And here's the million-dollar question. Which one of these columns do you fall into for other people? I just love this African proverb. It's such a perfect metaphor. When things get tough, our first instinct is often to wall ourselves off, right? To build a dam. But all that does is trap all the pressure and bad energy inside. The wise person, the one doing the proper work, does the exact opposite. They build a bridge. They reach out. They connect. They find a way forward. And this idea from the poet William Stafford, wow, it just brings it all home. The best memorial service isn't the one someone gives after you're gone. It's the one you get to hear every day. It's your family just wanting to hang out with you. It's the quiet proof that the people who know you best simply enjoy your presence. That's the real measure of the bridges you've built.
And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar, consistent practice. Now, aligning with the natural order might sound a little cosmic, but it boils down to a super simple, powerful truth. You are what you repeatedly do. That's it. Consistency is the engine that drives all transformation.
This slide always makes me chuckle, but it's so brilliant. The legendary coach John Wooden's 8 Laws of Learning. You see what he did there? The secret to getting great at anything isn't some complicated hack. It's just repetition, and then more repetition. It's not flashy, but it's how everything in nature works, and it's how we build character too.
So how do you stay consistent? Well, you have to work with your nature, not constantly fight against it. The best workout plan is the one you'll actually stick to, right? The key is to find the practices that you can sustain, because in the long run, consistency will always be short-term intensity.
And this is just so critical to understand. There's no pause button in life. Every single moment you're making a choice. Is this a lifetime? Time you're using to grow, to learn, to prepare? Or is it dead time? Time you're just letting slip away? The clock is ticking no matter what. The only question is what you're doing with the time you've got.
Okay, so we've walked through the 4 pillars: being kind, mastering your impulses, building bridges, and practicing consistently. All of this entire framework, really just brings us to one simple, powerful conclusion about the choice we all have to make every single day.
When it comes right down to it, when you're faced with the hard work of building your character, of being the rock, of building the bridge, of doing that one more rep, you really only have 3 options. You can give up, you can give in, which is just settling for good enough, or you can decide to give it everything you've got.
So look, this whole framework, it's not just some interesting stuff to think about. It's a direct challenge to you. The blueprint for a meaningful life, for genuine joy, is laid out right here. The proper work is right in front of you, in this moment and in the next one. So the only question left is, what are you going to choose?